Sorry, I got cut off, but welcome back to our marketing ontology tool. So yeah, these are all the things we created. This is actually something we didn't create, that AI made for us, that I'll show you guys how it works. But before I do that, I'm actually going to come to the calendar page and just press this button, and I will come back to what this button does. Just give it a little bit of time to run. So let's come back to this page and open our ontology editor. So you can see here the personas you added, the channels, the buckets, and then suddenly you see entities that we actually didn't see during the onboarding. And this is because AI is able to use your content buckets to pick different collections of entities and then populate those collections with the entities themselves and pick out a few details about each of those entities as well. So it has a little bit about hibiscus, which gods it's related to, etc., so that it can actually use this during your content generation. And you can generate more entities for each of these buckets, or you can suggest new collections. So you can actually build out this library to be pretty large, and you can do this like maybe in 15-20 minutes, so that you have a huge library of entities to draw on for your content um, when you're actually making your calendar. I've also given the option to upload references, so I'm actually just going to upload this one. This is actually not Huvu's brand style, but just to get the visual reference. And it'll actually take in this image, process it, and figure out what its visual style is so it can start designing in those themes. I'm just going to let this load for a bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to come back to this calendar page, and this is what we made. This was kind of a magical moment during the workshop where I walked everyone through the onboarding and the ontology, and then I had them press this generate month button. And then by the time we looked at a bunch of tools and came back, it had created this whole pretty much on brand content calendar for us. And it had done the split between educate, inspire, entertain, and persuade. And it like kind of knew which part of the month we were in, etc., which is very exciting. Um, from here, we can actually continue to design. I have limited this to be, because it's running on my tokens, I've actually limited it to not be super in detail. So I actually just allowed people to design, I think about 3 assets is what I gave them access to, where I think the visual is actually not fully uploaded yet. So it won't pull out that style, but basically it can make a creative based off of this theme for them to show them what that end-to-end automation looks like. Um, so yeah, you can see it's kind of made the creative itself is not great because it doesn't have a lot of visual references for our brand, but it actually, yeah, it made an editorial slide because it couldn't access my Nano Banana, but it has access to a bunch of different tools. Um, I can actually also say compare all 6 tools. So at Huvu, we use a bunch of different tools. I'll show you one of the pages. I actually don't even know which design slot this is, so I'm just kind of hoping that it works. But we have this option where you can see how something would look in a VO creative versus a Higgs field versus Gen AI, HeyGen, or ChatGPT, or Claude just creating it on HTML. So I wanted to give the same functional, and this is through Nano Banana. So I wanted to give the same functionality in this dashboard where you could compare different visuals. I of course didn't want to burn through a ton of credits for the 5 different companies in the group. So you can generate the image here itself, or you can render the slide, or you can also just copy this prompt, which is optimized both for your brand and for the platform. And you can actually open Higgsfield or HeyGen or whatever it is and paste in this prompt to get exactly what you need. But yeah, that was the tool. People all went home with a take-home value, which was the export file. So you could actually take home all of the work that you did, and has this fun little celebration where you can download the MD file, which is a markdown file which any AI agent can read, and it basically gives that agent complete context on your brand. 5 out of the 5 companies that came were able to use this brief to actually just build their own content automation tool by the end of our session. So they took like 40 minutes and they were able to create this calendar functionality for themselves. But I also wanted everyone to realize that this context that we've built is really powerful, and calendar creation or content design is only one application of that context. But if you give that context to your AI agent, it can actually come out with other tasks that it can do as well. So I also gave them this page where it says, hey, now that you have my context and you have an AI agent, just think for a little bit about some other marketing intervention you can do that will actually be really useful to my brand. So for Hoover, it came out with Apartment Society WhatsApp group partnership program, which is actually a fairly good idea. And then it tells me everything that I can do to set that up. So it gives me a whole plan and like a pitch that I can send out, and how my ontology actually shaped this. So you can think about this. And you could actually run this multiple times to see different applications, just to see how powerful it is to have a systems thinking about marketing versus just thinking about it at a content to content basis. But yeah, that's the ontology tool. Thank you so much for listening.